So this tree fell down. I realize that's a very bold statement to make, but I feel pretty confident that it has in fact fallen down. There are some considerations to make in cutting up trees like this for firewood. There is first still a huge amount of weight, even though obviously the tree fell down, it's dead, it's been dead for a real long time. There are some important things to keep in mind. Just as far as scale goes, this is probably about 25 inches wide, towards the base. Obviously at the actual base it gets even wider, a couple feet wide. But as we go along here, there's obviously branches that extend far out. And my strategy for cutting up wood is to always be thinking about the safety aspect, and really the safety dictates so much of how this is going to get taken apart. If I were to simply, come right here in the middle, start a cut from the top on down, the pressure from this side, from the left side of the ground and the right side of the ground, means that partway through that wood, the blade would be pinched, and no amount of pulling would get the chainsaw out of the pinched tree because the sides would start to collapse in. So you have to be very careful with how you cut down trees. You typically want to start at the far end where there is not wood under tension, and then slowly work your way on up. Now again, there are other things to keep in mind. You have things like this tree here in front, which got knocked down and has a bunch of branches in the way. There are pricker bushes along both sides of the tree. You don't want to I say bushes, they're little pricker trees that are very, very wiry, can bend back and grab you really easily and even trip you up. And so this is an example of one here. There are a number of them along here. So you want to make sure that you clear your workspace. You're not getting caught when you see vines like this along trees. Those could be poison ivy. You got to think about that if you're reactive to poison ivy like I am. And you really want to clear out your workspace. You want to make sure that you don't perform a big safety no-no, and that is moving your feet while chainsawing. Either have your blade moving or move your feet. But moving your feet at the same time as your blade is moving is just all kinds of stupid. You could trip, you could fall. The other thing to keep in mind is I talked about tension, not only vertical tension, so cutting this down the middle, creating a gap where the sides will pinch, but you also have to think about left and right tension. For this tree branch, which comes down along there, is that under tension? And when you release something, is that going to swing something into you? You also want to think about the grade. I am lower than this tree branch, and if I cut it, I'm just, theoretically, let's say I cut it here, it's going to want to fall downhill. If you're standing downhill, are you inviting a hundreds and hundreds of pounds of tree to start to roll at you while you try to control a moving chainsaw? At best, you're going to have your feet crushed, and at worst, it's going to roll on top of you. You can fall backwards over branches like this as it comes after you, and then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself underneath a tree, unable to get yourself out. So you want to cut uphill, be thinking about tension, clear out your workspace prior to starting to cut. And then last but not least, do what you can to try to set yourself up for success. Have an idea for the path in which you want to haul stuff out. In my case, I'm headed back up towards the house. Up there is the way to and from clear. In this case, I had to walk through a bunch of little pricker trees. Just go ahead and clear that stuff out. You're going to be coming in and out again and again and again. So think about that. In this case, it's obviously a very straight tree, but if you have the option for dropping things in the direction that you need to take them, it just saves the little extra work. So lots of safety considerations when using a chainsaw. I like to say a chainsaw is a great way to get yourself in trouble really quickly. You also have to be thinking about tension and everything else, but if you're smart and methodical, you can get a whole lot of firewood and get a good workout at the same time, and of course clear up the yard and all that good stuff. So important things to keep in mind while chainsawing.